Should married couples have a shared bank account?
Oh man, that's a great question, man. You know what? If they don't, if they should not share a bank account, they probably shouldn't share anything else. They probably need to ask that question a little earlier in the situation.
Mm.
Mm. Why?
Continue, man. We digging it. Go.
Yeah, because you want your monies to get along with each other. You want your monies to have the same kind of personality. I was with somebody, they money used to want to party all the time, and my money was like, let's just stay at home and multiply and wait for a good opportunity to grow. And they money was like, no man, let's run away and never come back. And I broke up with that person. I was like, my money, I like you and everything, but me, your money and my money can't never get married. They're not the same kind of money. Your money like to go out, never come back, waste itself, get wasted on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? You borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. Your money is irresponsible. And what I found through just living, right? Just living. Yeah, you probably ought to try to find that out before make that big, y'all do that big corporate merger where you sign the papers with the preacher. You better find that out because it's easy to get in, hard to get out. You know what I mean?
Hey, Will, you got something to say? Add to it.
All right, Jimmy. Can you hear me, Jimmy?
I can hear you very well.
Wow. All right, I'm interested in your perspective about that because a lot of people feel different about that. And you said that they basically the bank accounts should be married before they decide to get married. But why do you say all that? Why can't they just have separate bank accounts?
No, I say that the bank accounts, it shouldn't be no problem marrying the bank accounts if you screen the person you need to ask that question way before you marry the person. Like dating, like first date. Because if two people feel differently about money, they shouldn't get married. They shouldn't date. They probably shouldn't kiss. They probably shouldn't hold hands because it ain't gonna work out, Jack. You know?
Hold up. Hold up. Well, but what about those people who be micromanaging the other bank account? What you got to say to that?
Well,
You can't even go.
when you say micromanage the bank account, you mean like one person is a penny pincher and another person?
I'm saying if you go to the Wendy's drive-through,
and
you go get you a junior bacon cheeseburger, some fries and stuff like that. As soon as you pull out, they're like, Where you at?" They give you that call. What do you say to that?
And they managing the bank account like that?
They said, "Where you at? Why you spending money?"
Okay, you need to know that type of person that they're that type of person long before you marry them. They don't need to be able to say where you at Wendy's. They ought to be able to trust you because they know you that well already.
Oh, so they call you before you get there because they know you're going to go there.
Well, they need to know. I mean, for a perfect example, I hate to put my business in the street. I came home a few minutes ago, and I was like, "Honey, you gonna make them cookies?" And she was like, "Why? You already went to the gas station and had your snack." I said, "How you know that?" I said, "Did you look at the bank account?" She was like, "No." She was like, "I know you. That's the time you go to the gas station to get your snack. That's what you do. You already did it. I can see how you acting."
So you trying to tell me you never got yelled at for going to the store to get your cookies? Ever?
Well, financially or health-wise?
Either way.
Health-wise, I get yelled at all the time. Financially, no. No. Health-wise, yeah, I'm just like Cliff Huxtable, hiding chips under the couch and everything, man. Yeah, I'm not supposed to be eating that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I have to work on some things, man. I'm working on some things, man. Damn, man. Excuse me. I'm sorry about the algorithm, man, but I like cookies, man.
Don't worry about the day, man. We out here. Do your thing.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I got chips in the car. I got cookies in the cabinet. I got chocolate milk in the back of the refrigerator, man. Might be some ice cream in there. You know what I'm saying? But don't worry about what's in there, dog. Don't worry about all that right now, man.
Hey, can you hold or you gotta go?
I can hold. I can hold. My son's asleep.
All right. Yo, what's cracking?
What's going on, fellas?
We out here, man, just acting the fool.
I know, talking that dumb stuff.
Gotta get into
Oh
that.
man, you
Hey, I got some Twinkies under my driver's seat right now. Don't tell nobody though.
gotta have the stashes, man. I used
Gotta
to
have a stash.
I used to wonder like why is Al Bundy doing that, but now I get it. I get it now.
What's that called? A sweet quesadilla?
That's what it is. You gotta have it every once in a while. Ain't nothing wrong with it in moderation. Not every day. Moderation.
I eat healthy in moderation. How about that?
That's even better.
I go crazy on the sweet, but anyway, enough about me. What you want to talk about today?
Yes, I mean we can start where y'all left off at. As far as the bank accounts.
All right.
Should married couples share a bank account?
Before you answer that, are you married,
what?
Swanee?
Yes, I'm married.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Married 17 years. But yeah, should married couples have a bank account, share a bank account? Absolutely. First of all, if you're in the marriage, you're supposed to trust one another. But yeah, I mean, that's how all the bills are being paid. That's how you put, food on the table, events that you guys go out to, date nights, and all that should be in your shared account. So I believe wholeheartedly that married couples should have a shared bank account. That's like saying if you don't, and you come up with a Gucci purse one day, I come out with a pair of Jordans, they say, well, where'd you get them? You got extra money somewhere? You're causing them not to trust you when you're not open. And Jimmy said in the very beginning, yeah, that's true. You could talk about that at the very beginning, but not everything is talked about at the very beginning. Sometimes you learn things in your marriage. So it just comes from a respect level and honor. Respect your wife and honor your wife, but being open about everything. There's nothing wrong with being open about everything. And I think more people should do it.
Now, do you believe that one person should run it and the other person should get an allowance?
No, I don't believe in the allowance scenario, because that puts a wedge between you and your spouse. Almost like it's like, okay, I'm above you, or I'm better than you, or that's sort of complex. I don't think you should do that. Whether it be a man or a woman. Now I know that happens. One of the greatest R&B singers in history, Bobby Brown. He was on the allowance. The late Whitney Houston, had Bobby Brown on an allowance. Bobby Brown used to get, $10,000 a week or something like that. But that was a different scenario.
Right.
So in a marriage that you have respect and honor, and trust, and you guys are, have a spiritual bond, there's no need for, allowance or anything. Yeah, I would say a budget you should definitely have. Budget is a better word, than allowance. So you should have a budget for sure.
So Will, how do you feel about that? Do you think it should be shared? Do you think one person should run it? Do you think allowance? What do you think?
Well, I think it should be a hybrid kind of, first off, when you're married, you're one, okay? So everything that's going in, it's one. It's going into marriage incorporated, whatever you want to call that, business, whatever, you mash it together. And I think that there should be at the least a bank account that's shared where all of the incoming money comes into. And then from there, if you want to have a little bit of individuality, I would say give both the allowance. Set some type of amount for, personal, whatever, like, hey, each of us, we get $200 per pay. We could do whatever we want with the $200 and so on. I'm just saying the amount. Ladies, don't get mad. I know that 200. They're like, what? Sneakerheads is over like, what? So, but whatever the amount that you guys come into an agreement about, then you can have personal accounts that now it's recommended that names are still on it, both names on each personal account. Have at least 3 accounts. The one account that's the family business account, which is where everything goes into. The other personal accounts, it might have husband, wife is secondary, and the other one has wife, husband is secondary. And what that allows is for hey, if someone wants to go and get their Twinkies or whatever, you can't question them if they're spending it out of the personal allowance that you guys had set for each other. It just alleviates that.
Engagement comes to this. Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So there's rules of engagement. So one day you say, hey, I don't think you should have spent that money. Out of your account, out of our account. Then the next thing you know, they're going to do it to you. True or false?
You're talking about
she
listen.
Why
I can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I ain't saying true or false. What I'll say is that happens in marriages, no doubt. That definitely happens for sure.
They be pocket watching after you tell them to stop doing something. The rules of engagement is over.
So, honey, where you been at today? I just want to know where you been at. There's no doubt in mind that happens in all relationships, let alone just marriages, for sure. That happens, no doubt. There's always a question of, just want to know what's going on. How was your day? Starts off, how's your day? And fellas out there, always ask your wives how their day is. That's very important. That goes a long way. And women out there, do the same thing for your men. Ask us how our day is. We need that.
Swanee told me years ago to put the tracker on your girl's phone. That's true.
No. The tracker.
He ain't say that.
I caught her. She was at Allmore Skating Rink, man. I knew you was there.
I loved it, you. but anyway, that's funny. So, what you think about Joe Rogan?
Listen, man, he's an outspoken individual who share a lot of people's thoughts on this whole vaccinated versus unvaccinated, other ways to when it comes to health and looking at things rather than the vaccination, because there are other ways that you can help your body without taking an artificial something that goes into the body. You can take natural things that go into the body, and that will help just as well. But since that's not a money maker, okay, in the big pharma industry, they're not going to talk about that on mainstream media. So you're going to have some outspoken folks or individuals out there, that's going to speak on matters like he did, and he just speaking to how you feel about it. And there's other methods other than the vaccination. And that's just a cold, hard truth. Now, there are scientists, there are doctors, whistleblowers out there at the same time who are saying the same things. There's a doctor, I believe Malone, out there who actually invented or partly created the mRNA. And he talks about, some of the things that are in the vaccination. Now, he's been around for forever, and he's not an anti-vax guy, He just speaking some truth on some of the things how they rush this vaccination and some of the proteins that's in the vaccination that kind of mutates once it gets inside your body. It mutates. So it goes to the question of, okay, the people who are taking the vaccine, they may have mild symptoms after they take the vaccination, but they're the main ones who are spreading the mutation and the virus to other people. And some people are different than others. Of course, we know that some people don't have symptoms at all, but others, have serious symptoms, and they're the ones who are in the ICU. And a lot of those people were already vaccinated. Now, this ain't nothing to say, you should get vaccinated or to each his own. Everyone should have the ability to make a choice of what they want to do to their bodies and if they feel comfortable or not. Everybody has a personal choice for that. Nobody should be mandated or required to take anything artificial when there's natural things you can take right now.
Man, I think I sent you an article. Did you hear about Will? I know I sent it to Swanee. Chicago judge revokes mother's custody until she gets the COVID-19 vaccine.
Man,
in Chicago.
that's crazy.
Go ahead, Will. Hey, I'm on fire. I'm just thinking about that. Will, you go say what you got to say about it because, oh man, that's terrible.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But yeah, that's crazy. They're getting out of hand, but they're showing you that they don't really think that those are your kids. They think they own them. That's why you want to do everything to prevent yourself to be involved in that system as much as you can.
Right.
That's right. I agree. And to that system point, you're actually right on point with that. The moment you go to court for anything, is the moment that Big Daddy, is in control. Unfortunately, it goes to the point that not a lot of our people, especially our people, are not married, and they're having children, but they're not married. And if you don't have a significant other going into a relationship and then having kids, and you decide not to get married, because there's plenty of couples out there that are not married, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's to each his own. But they have kids together, but never been to the court system, right? And they get along just fine because of their founding. They have respect for one another. They have great households growing up, and it's just that respect, So the moment you go to court, and because your child's mother or your child's father is acting up, and you get in front of a judge who don't care nothing about the mother, the father, or the child, okay? And he has the control to make the decision. And because this woman is unvaccinated, you take that child away from them. That goes to show you how in America, democracy is hypocrisy. That goes against every constitutional right. As a mother, that means you have no rights. That said, that you have no rights. Now, there's a problem that should be talked about right now. I believe it's still in the Supreme Court, and it's talked about and argued right now about whether mandating vaccines is constitutional or unconstitutional.
Well, while this is in the air, let me ask you about this, Swanee.
It's crazy.
Put this on here real quick. I don't know if you guys have seen this. A lady uses a Maderna card to get into Hawaii. The only thing about that is that's not a typo that I put there. She had it. It's allegedly a fake card. I don't know if it's really fake or not, but it was spelled with an A instead of an O. So they arrested her, and I think she's facing a year in prison.
Well, for a fake vaccination card.
Yep.
Yeah, certain parts of the island in Hawaii you can't go to unless you're vaccinated. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was trying to. I was supposed to go to a wedding and I couldn't go because I took the COVID test at a wrong location, so I didn't go. So, yeah, they're doing dictator rules, man.
That's exactly what it is.
The crazy part is, man, before 1776, every country was run by kings, and we're the first one with this system. That's why I appreciate the um the Constitution. Now we're in it. you know, but the Constitution it keeps us away from these rules, man. Because if you can get to the Supreme Court, which is cost a lot of money and a lot of go along, get along gang to get there, um, justice prevails all the time, or most of the time. To get to the Supreme Court, but they're trying to take away the Constitution, you know, the individual rights. They've been doing this for years. They did it with the money, So it's just bad because, like I said, like they they use Trump to scare people, to give them the rights. It's like the whole year, never Trump, never Trump, never Trump. Well, I'll tell you this: Trump would have never allowed us to be mandated to take the thing. You remember in April he was going to open it up. He was going to open the whole country up. They fought him. He wanted to open it up on Easter. You know, um,
Yep.
this is what people wanted, and this reminds me of Isaiah when he was talking about Israel. He was like, "Turned away from God, and you're going to be God's going to allow someone to take over you." And right now, everybody was so scared because before, if you notice, in January, America was doing just fine. Black people were working more. Um, Everything was rolling, and then this virus comes and they scared everybody. They had the countdown on CNN of the deaths, and it's funny when the election happened, they stopped playing it, but
Yeah.
now they're doing this
Countdown.
unvaccinated countdown. Huh? What you say?
I said, "Where's the countdown?" I haven't seen that in a long time.
They have an unvaccinated countdown now. They switched their tricks. You know.
They're desperate out there, man. And keep hearing these little news clips of they keep bringing up African Americans are the ones who's causing the spread of the Delta variant. These are all bogus and propaganda. And quite frankly, it's sickening and it's actually racist and discriminatory. And that's why I always, when we talk about, just in the America for African Americans or blacks, we talk about, reparations. We talk about certain protections for us. These are some of the things that should be put in place a long time ago. Okay. Because those are hate words. Those could be, looked at as completely different. You got the anti-Asian hate bill. If you say anything wrong, that they can charge you for a crime for that. The same thing should apply to if you say something about African Americans or black. That should have been in the Constitution a long time ago. But we still don't have that, and so we still facing some of these same issues that we've been going through, since the '60s. Now, voter rights right now is being attacked in Texas. You talk about voting since the '60s. You know what I mean? Voting all these years, and now they're ready to take it away, just like that.
Well, as far as the voting, man, come on, man. If you don't have an ID, man, something ain't right. You can get an ID. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear that, man. When they talk about like in Atlanta, oh, you supposed to come with an ID. When people didn't use the ID, what did they do? They did the PPP loans. Like dead people were getting them. Like you gotta have some type of identification. You know what I mean?
I agree. I ain't got no problem with with the identification part of it. The problem I have with it is the fact that these states are capitalizing off state IDs, state issued IDs. Now, if voting is a right, not a privilege, then the state should provide state IDs for each and every citizen in their state. Or make it at least accessible and not complicated and a big inconvenience, because now a lot of folks are now just getting up, to technology. Now everything is online with this whole COVID thing. You got to go online to fill out applications, to apply for loans, and the whole 9 yards. Now, not every person can go online and navigate to even apply for a state ID. The old generation usually go down to an office in person but that's not available anymore. So the problem is not making it available to people to actually apply to get state IDs. That's the problem.
Well, my son had this. He came from Pennsylvania. He was going to school in Robert Morris, and he had to come down here. And I sent him down there to do it. And if a young kid could do it, I think an old person could do it. He went down.
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? That's a cop out. Like,
Yeah.
everybody got. Hold on. Everybody. We're talking about the poor community. The poor community have food stamps. You got to have ID for that. You know what I'm saying? So how you get food stamps? You got to go in the office and fill out the paperwork and get ID. That's a cop out.
I agree, but that's a small minority of people. That's a separate group of people. Those who are on food stamps is separate than those who just live paycheck to paycheck. And you got another group that are considered middle class or working class. And of course, you got the middle class and rich. Now, there's different categories when it comes to that. Because I'll tell you an example, like in Pennsylvania, PennDOT and Penn Hills location, they're not open as often as you think. And when they do open, there's a long line that you got to wait to even get in there because of this whole COVID thing. So if you don't have a certain piece of ID or whatever it may be, or a backup ID, they tell you got to go reapply. Now, I'll give you another example. I had a birth certificate. There was one thing that was incorrect on the birth certificate. Mm-hmm. So they turned us away and said, we got to go downtown to get a new birth certificate. Now, we went downtown to get a birth certificate another day, and we get there, and I say, I want to, make a change in my birth certificate. Oh, well, you got to schedule an appointment. I said, schedule an appointment for what? I'm right here. Because of the pandemic, it is what it is. Before, it didn't used to be that way. So we had a scheduled appointment, and we ain't getting it for 2 weeks later. Now, my son needs the ID to go to college and this and that. It's just a big hassle. And that's what I'm talking about. It's a big inconvenience. It's the big runaround now because it's not as convenient as it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree that the convenience. Sorry about that.
But
yeah, but I was saying I definitely agree with that. It's not always convenient, but when PennDOT, any DMV, like it's always been terrible. They got jokes about it. Now, Swanee, one thing that you had mentioned earlier, I don't know if you noticed, but for voting at least, the voter ID cards, they're free in most states. Because that was an issue that was brought up, and now you can get them at least in Pennsylvania, Georgia. You can get those free of charge. The issue is they're making it as if you're black, all of a sudden you can't get to it. When in reality, just like LaRon was saying, to be able to do almost anything, if you apply for food stamps, they want to see some type of ID. If you want to I don't know, if you want to get sick, you gotta show some ID. So they're just lying. Yeah. Yep. Child support.
That's BS. That's just a way to get control. At least because that's a Democrat thing. You know what I mean? Like in Atlanta, what was it, Fulton County? I can't remember. Man, look, especially now, they made it so easy because they extended the time to get to vote. It wasn't just one day. It was like, what, a month, really, because of COVID. But I understand what you're saying. It is. Yeah. Anything to do with the government, it's just like they can't. It sucks.
I hate this.
It's the slowest process in the world, man. That's why I believe in early voting. If they have early voting, a month prior to or something like that, something that will help the situation. Because not everybody is rushing to get to a poll if people vote or not, and to each his own when it comes to that. So if you got the whole Georgia, or let's just say it Atlanta, one city in Georgia, you got all of Atlanta going to vote all at the same time. Now the polls close at 8. They saying they'll take you in if you're in line, but there's a lot of people who got cut off and couldn't vote, and that causes a problem, right?
That is true.
So, I mean, we got to figure out ways to try to combat that issue and all issues when it comes to voting. Not make it harder for people to vote, but make it easier for people to vote. Now, if it's getting an ID, fine. Let's find ways for people to get IDs so they can have it. Now, the second part to that is how can we make sure they can vote early enough, you know what I mean, so their vote is cast and in, you know what I mean? So I don't know. There's ways out there, but they ain't listen to us, you know.
Man, look, if you can't get an ID, you shouldn't be functioning out here, man.
Listen, hey, they getting IDs, man. Listen, how long people been getting fake IDs, man, since the 80s and 90s, man. Listen, there was people up in the club, you know what I mean? They shouldn't be up in the club.
Facts. Man, that is a whole fact, man. Yeah, but that's funny. Anything else to add on that, Will?
Oh no, I mean, I agree with most of what Swanee's saying. So, you know, and he dropping the facts because them teenagers, they was able to get them IDs popping, getting Club Lager, huh?
Club Lager for sure, all 3 levels. That was crazy.
Stratus.
Yeah. Stratus, Whiskey Dicks, Donzies, Chauncey's.
Oh, that was some good time. And we dating ourselves, but